What's going on, everybody? Sports culture, and today I am going to be giving a grade for every NFL team's 2024 NFL draft class. And this was a very deep, talented draft class, in my opinion. And a lot of teams, hit in this year's draft class. I think there's a lot of winners, but I do think there was a little bit of losers. I think there's some teams that took a lot of reaches, just didn't get the best of value, in my opinion, with their picks. So, without further ado, man, let's get right into this. So the first team we're going to talk about is the Arizona Cardinals. And also, this is going to be by alphabetical order. So if you want to just skip through and go to whatever team you want to look at or your favorite team, you could go ahead and do that. Arizona Cardinals, I give it A-. I think this was a very, very good draft. Obviously, first pick, they got Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, with the second pick in this year's draft class, but with their first pick, they got Marvin Harrison Jr. In my opinion, the number one prospect in this year's draft class. Generational, truly, truly generational. The player comp right here, Matt Miller's pro comp is AJ Green. Definitely see that. AJ Green, Julio Jones, all of those. This guy is very, very elite. Maybe, he does everything right. The only, flaw against Marvin Harrison Jr. is that he's not elite, after the catch, getting yards after the catch. But I think he's really, really athletic. I think he's very, very quick. And I definitely see him at the next level developing in that aspect. He's going to be, a top 10, top 5 wide receiver down the line, maybe even a top 3. Sky's the limit for Marvin Harrison Jr. I think he's truly generational. This right here alone, about to give a grade for this pick, was an A+. Kyler Murray, we've seen how good Kyler Murray was with DeAndre Hopkins. A big body guy that he could just throw the ball up to. Although I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is a very technical wide receiver. He's very good with his releases. He also is very good, when it comes to 50-50 balls. He's 6'3", 209 pounds. So Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr., in my opinion, are going to have a very good, first year together. This was a very good pick. And then we go on to their actual, rest of their draft picks right here. Darius Robinson at 27. I really do like this pick a lot. To me, edge was a big need, as we see right here for the Cardinals. Wide receiver, cornerback, and edge. And Darius Robinson, was one of the best edges in this year's draft class. Reminds me a lot like Zadarius Smith. This is a guy who I think is very versatile. Can line up at DN or D tackle, play inside and out. Very, very athletic, has fast and violent hands. I love this pick right here for the Cardinals. Max Milton, they got with their third pick in this year's draft class. I think this is a great pick. I think he's a bit raw, but man, athletically, he has all the traits you want from a starting cornerback. And he's very, very willing to come down and make tackles. So I really do like this pick. Trey Benson was my number one running back in this year's draft class. I think Trey Benson is a stud. This guy, put himself in comparison with running backs like Breece Hall when he went to the combine. What is his height again? 6 foot, 216 pounds, running a 4.39 40-yard dash at the combine. So just very, very explosive. And I know they have James Conner right now, but I expect James Conner and Trey Benson to split carries, and then after this year, Trey Benson to take over and be the starting running back for this team. I'm very interested to see the running back duo of Trey Benson and James Conner. Next pick, they did go Isaiah Adams. I think he's very solid, offensive tackle from Illinois. Very, very solid. The only pick I really wasn't with for the Cardinals was Tip Ryman right here in the third. I thought he was more of a 4th to 5th type of guy. 5th round selection. I do like Tip Ryman a lot as a tight end. Very good blocking tight end. I just didn't see as a big need for this team, especially to go get him in the 3rd round. Elijah Jones, very, very good player. Underrated. I think this guy was one of the best, man coverage cornerbacks in this year's draft class. Has the length you want from a cornerback. 6'2", 185 pounds. And a vertical jump of 42.5 inches. So very, very good athleticism. He killed it this year at Boston College. Definitely deserves some more buzz. David Taylor Demerson is probably one of my favorite picks for them. Very, very athletic. Xavier Thomas, edge from Clemson, very productive, a little bit undersized. Christian Jones, this guy's a stud. One of the best tackles in this year's draft class, in my opinion. One of the most underrated ones. Really, really good pass blocker. Overall, like I said, I give this A-. I think this was a very good draft for the Cardinals. And I think this team, has a really good chance to, maybe contend for the NFC West division. It's going to be, a very loaded division. But I think the Cardinals, did what they needed to in the draft, and they deserve, the A- grade from, any other people that are grading them. But for me, A-. Now we move on to the Atlanta Falcons, and I know people are going to, be expecting this to be a super bad grade. I actually gave the Falcons a C. I think this is a solid draft class. Michael Penix Jr. is probably going to be everybody's worst pick. I kind of understand the pick. I would have maybe, have hoped they got J.J. McCarthy if they wanted to go down that road, develop a quarterback for a couple of years, and then let them start because I think Michael Penix Jr. was the most pro-ready quarterback in this year's draft class, and I truly believe that he, deserved to be starting somewhere for an NFL team like the Raiders or something like that. But he's going to be developing for a couple years behind Kirk Cousins. I don't think Kirk Cousins will be there the full 4 years. I think he's only going to be there for 2 years, 3 years at max. So Michael Penix Jr. is definitely going to get his chance with the Falcons. and they're going to be a very good team once he takes over the helm. The pick, that really got me mad was this pick right here with Rook Awaru. I gotta work on that name right there. But with Jerzon Newman on the board, man, this pick really pissed me off. My opinion, man, I thought Jerzon Newman, like I said in my opinion, I thought Jerzon Newman was the best defensive player in this year's draft class. Not the best defensive tackle in this year's draft class, but the best defensive player in this year's draft class. I thought, his film was truly elite. I thought, he was truly on a class of his own between, every other player in this year's draft class. Way more productive than any other defensive tackle in this year's draft class. So I thought with Jerzon Newman on the board, them trading up to go to get Ruka Rororu, them needing, more defensive linemen in general, I thought Jerzon Newman had to be the pick. But I do think they made up with it with Braylon Trice, who's been very productive as a, collegiate player. I do like this pick. And then, one of my favorite overall picks in the entire draft class, Brandon Dolis in the 4th round. I think this was a very, very good pick, for the Falcons. And they needed defensive line depth very, very bad. They had one of the oldest, D-line groups in all of college football in the NFL, I mean. And they didn't really get that much pressure, that much sack. So I love these 3 picks right here in a row. I don't love these. I love these 2 picks in a row right here. Ruka Rororu, before I get off of him, I think he has a lot of upside. I'm not saying he's a bad player. I actually do think he's a very good player. He is fairly raw, but he has all the size you want from a defensive tackle. 6'4", 294 pounds. Really, really athletic as well. I just thought with Jerzon Newman on the board, man, he had to be the selection for the Falcons. But Braylon Trice and Brandon Dolis made up for it. J.D. Berthoud, I think, is a very solid linebacker. Jason McClellan, I thought, was very underrated as a running back. I love his vision. I love his burst. Very solid contact balance. Casey Washington, I'm not mad at the pick. I think, they definitely needed to add another wide receiver in the room. Casey Washington is a very crafty one. And then Zion Lodge, another D tackle. I wasn't the biggest fan of Zion's film, but they needed to add more guys in that room. I'm not mad at the selection right here. Like I said, I give them a C. I don't think the worst pick in my opinion for the Falcons was Michael Penix Jr. I think it was this Ruka pick right here. Taking him over Jerzon Newman, I just think wasn't the best of selection. So like I said, the Falcons deserve a C. Very, very solid draft. All right, now we move to the Baltimore Ravens, and I thought it was very soothing to change the background to fit their color. I think they get an A-, man. I think this was a very good draft for the Baltimore Ravens. Nate Wiggins, man, was my cornerback 2 in this year's draft class. I don't care that he's undersized in terms of weight. I think when we turn on the tape and we talk about coverage abilities for a cornerback, I think Nate Wiggins is at the top of the chain in this year's draft class. Like I said, my cornerback 2 in this year's draft class. Very, very confident player, very cocky, a shit talker. I just think he fits this Baltimore Ravens scheme and just team in general. He's going to be a stud for them. Roger Rosengarten, a very good Washington offensive tackle. Very good offensive tackle from Washington. I do think at the next level he's going to be more of a guard because he doesn't have, the greatest arm length for the offensive tackle position. But I do think he's a day 1 starter at the guard position for the Baltimore Ravens. So I think this is a good pickup for them. Adesina Isaac, I just felt like he was a Baltimore Raven. Very explosive off the edge. I like his ability to actually set the edge and stop runs from getting to the outside. Definitely not the greatest in terms of counter moves. A little bit raw in terms of pass rushing. All he has right now is his speed, but he follows a team like the Baltimore Ravens, which are just so good at developing guys and making them good pass rushers. Tez Walker, I thought this was a very good pickup for them. They needed another wide receiver, and Tez Walker, fills that hole for them. TJ Tampa, I felt like this was the best pick in terms of value. This guy did fall a lot because I think at the next level, he is defensive scheme, dependent, but luckily for him, he fell to a team like the Ravens, which I think, fits his play style. So I think this is a good fit for the Baltimore Ravens and TJ Tampa. TJ Tampa was my cornerback 6 in this year's draft class, man. Very good size for a cornerback. I think him, Marlon Humphrey, and Nate Wiggins, man. Although those are three boundary cornerbacks on one team, I think this team is going to be one of the best secondaries next year. I'm very high on Nate Wiggins, and I think TJ Tampa, especially because he landed to the Baltimore Ravens, could have a very good rookie year. Devin Leary, I like this pick for the Baltimore Ravens. I thought he was one of the best quarterbacks at the Combine. I thought he threw the ball very, very well. They got him in the 6th round. Obviously, he's not going to come in and be the starting quarterback, but I just thought this was good value. Overall, I give them an A-. I really do like the Nate Wiggins pick right here. I think he's going to be a stud. I think he's going to be one of the more premier cornerbacks in the NFL. A- for the Baltimore Ravens, man. I think they killed it. Next, we got the Buffalo Buffaloes, and people could say whatever they want about the draft that the Buffalo Bills had. I loved it. Yes, they traded with the Kansas City Chiefs, but I love the idea of trading back, getting more draft capital. This is a team that was in a cap hell. They got rid of a lot of veterans. They needed to bring in a lot of youth, and they did at this draft class. Keon Coleman was a wide receiver Josh Allen wanted, so maybe not the guy I mocked to them, or maybe not the guy I wanted, them to go get. I thought there was another receiver that fitted them more well. But if Josh Allen, the quarterback, wanted Keon Coleman, this is a great pickup for them. Keon Coleman has all the upside in the world. Maybe not the greatest at running routes, but 50-50 ball wise, very, very elite. He has the jump ability, has really good hands. After the catch, I think he's very explosive as well. Very, very athletic. I don't think the Florida State offensive scheme did him any justice. So people are just going to go look at the stats and say, well, he didn't produce that much at college. Turn on the tape. This Florida State offensive scheme didn't help him out. Cole Bishop, this was a phenomenal pickup. I loved Cole Bishop. One of my favorite safeties in this year's draft class. A hard-nosed football player that's going to be good in the box. Also has the versatility, in my opinion, to also play some snaps in the slot. I think, people will look at his PFF grades right now, say he's not that great of a player, but on tape, man, I thought this guy was very, very good. This is a great fit for the Bills. Carter's going to be solid. Ray Davis was my fifth ranked running back in this year's draft class. I really do like the Ray Davis and James Cook, pairing. This guy, in my opinion, Ray Davis is like in between of Austin Eckler and Travis Etienne. I think this guy is very, very, very physical. Has great burst, has great acceleration, has great vision, and is an elite receiving back at the backfield. So good pickup for them. Daquan Hardy, I thought was a very good pickup in the sixth. A really solid slot cornerback. Overall, like I said, I give this draft class for the Buffalo Bills an A. I think this was a very good pick. Cedric Van as well. I don't know how I skipped over his name. I think this is a guy who could be the starter for the Buffalo Bills next year, maybe this year, but I do want to see him, get developed for a year. I think he's more of a project player at the center position, but if developed right, man, I actually do think this guy could be a top 10 center. So overall, like I said, I give them an A. I think this was a very good pickup. Very good draft class for the Buffalo Bills, and Josh Allen got his guy in Keon Coleman. So overall, an A. The next team is the Carolina Panthers, and I give them a B. Very, very solid draft. Xavier Legette, DK Metcalf type of wide receiver, 50-50 ball winner. Very, very, physical, very athletic wide receiver. Developing more as a route runner. I do think I like what I saw on film with him as a route runner. And he's a guy where if you give him a 5-yard slant, you're at the 5-yard line, 10-yard line. He has a chance to take that thing all the way. So very, very explosive at the catch. I think he's more explosive and dynamic after the catch than DK Metcalf. So I'm very high on Xavier Legette. I think he has a lot of upside. I think he would have benefited more with a gunslinger type of quarterback, but nonetheless, I think he's going to be probably wide receiver 1 for the Carolina Panthers. Jonathan Brooks, very, very good pickup. He was my RB1 before the torn ACL. So if this man can stay healthy, I think this is a home run pick for the Carolina Panthers. This is a guy who I thought, when he seen the hole, I thought he had the best vision in this year's draft class. I thought he was the most explosive. I thought he was the most dynamic running back in this year's draft class. My question marks are, how is he going to perform? How explosive is he going to be after the torn ACL? So we'll see. I think Jonathan Brooks, if he's healthy, could return to the form that he was before the torn ACL. I think this is a home run pick right here, and I think Jonathan Brooks has a chance to be one of the best running backs in the NFL. Trevor Wallace, very, very athletic linebacker. I'm not the biggest Trevor Wallace fan. I think he's a project player. But luckily for him, he doesn't have to be truly thrown into the fire right now. I think he definitely developed for this Carolina Panthers team. And he's going to be solid for them down the line if he's developed right. A lot of upside, not a bad pickup for them. Jatavian Sanders, a safety blanket for Bryce Young. I'm not the biggest Jatavian Sanders fan. I think he's a very good route runner. I think he knows how to, find the open zone in zone defense. Has really reliable hands, but after the catch, man, he doesn't do much for you at all, or doesn't do anything at all. Very, very soft after the catch. It was like once in a blue moon, when I was watching film that he'd break a tackle after the catch. So, Charles Smith-Wade, I love this pick right here. I thought he was very underrated. And then Michael Barrett, a fairly solid linebacker from Michigan, played on the championship-winning team at the collegiate level. Like I said, I give them a B. I thought this was a very solid draft. And I thought, Bryce Young got some really good weapons. Next, we have the Chicago Bears, and this is probably going to be the fastest one for any NFL team that I'm going to cover right now. I give them an A. Caleb Williams, their franchise quarterback for many, many years now. I think Caleb Williams is generational. People can hate on him all they want. I think he's going to be very good for this team. And he's a guy who actually cares to be there, man. So I think that's already an A+ for them in terms of picks. Rome Odunze was my wide receiver 2 in this year's draft class. I think Rome Odunze, man, could be a DeAndre Hopkins guy, a bigger Devontae Adams. I really do think Rome Odunze is in between both of those guys. Such a fluid and smooth player when you watch him. It's like he's gliding out there. Puts himself in a different, conversation, different category. 70% contested catch rate. That's super, super elite, man. Mostly everybody else at this draft class at the wide receiver position, was around 43%, 45%, 52% at most. So to see Rome Odunze at 70 by himself, man, that's super, super elite. Karan Amagaji, offensive tackle slash guard from Yale. I'm very high on Karan Amagaji. I think he's a project player. But man, if you want to watch a guy that's very physical, has a great demeanor, is a destroyer of worlds in the run department, you got to watch Amagaji's film, man. He's a destroyer of worlds. Gives me Trent Williams vibes, the way he just goes out there and run blocks. I think this is a good pickup for the Chicago Bears. Torrey Taylor, best punter in college football. Very, very good pickup. And then Austin Booker, I thought was an underrated pickup for them. They needed another edge, and they got a solid one. 6'5", 240. Very, very good player. A very big player as well. Has all the traits you want from an edge rusher. Solid pick. Like I said, I think they get an A. They get 2 cornerstone franchise players. 3, because I think Kyron Amagaji is going to be a very good guard or tackle, wherever they use him for this team as well. So they get 3 guys. I give them an A right here. I think this is a very good pickup. And as a Packers fan, I am sick. The next team, the Cincinnati Bengals, I give them a B-. Amarius Mims to me is boom or bust. I wasn't the biggest Amarius Mims fan in the world, but he's 6'8", 340. Wins most of his reps due to his athleticism, his big frame. Maybe not the most technical, not the most fundamentally sound, so that's what you're banking on, developing him in those aspects. Boom or bust, I think it's, if he plans out, if he's developed right, could be a very good pickup, but I'm not the biggest Amarius Mims fan right now. I just can't really stay on the football field. Chris Jenkins, a safe pick. I love the pick. He's going to go out there and contribute day one. He's going to be a very solid player for them, very good run stopper, and he's still developing in terms of pass rushing. Jermaine Burton, the wide receiver out of Alabama, a lot of character concerns, but I think he's one of the best deep threats in this year's draft class. I do like Jermaine Burton a lot, especially when you add him into a wide receiver room with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, being the quarterback. I think this, offense is just going to get more explosive, and Jermaine Burton is going to take the top off defenses while, teams have to double team a guy like Jamar Chase and, watch for a wide receiver like T. Higgins still. Jackson, solid pick. I just felt like, was a bit of a reach in my opinion. Solid pick though. They needed more defensive tackle help, just more D-line help in general. Lost a guy like DJ Reader, who's been there for many, many years, has been, a key starter, a key contributor for that defense for many years, so they added more guys. Eric All, didn't like the pickup. I think when he's on the football field, he's very good. That's the question though. When is he going to be on the football field? But very, very athletic. I like what he does after the catch. Just, is he going to be on the football field is the question. Josh Nguyen kind of fell off in my opinion. This Tanner McLaren pick, in my opinion, was better than Eric All. I think Tanner has a legitimate chance to be, getting a lot of snaps his first year. I think Tanner was one of the best tight ends in this year's draft class. Maybe not also the most healthy in terms of, staying on the field, but could be if he's healthy as well. I think Eric All, if he's healthy, could be a very good player as well. But I think Tanner, if he's healthy, I think he's going to be just overall a better player. Matt Lee, man, I don't know how he did get more buzz. I thought Matt Lee was one of the best centers in this year's draft class. Very, very underrated. I think he has starting center potential in the NFL. I think they got a stud with this last pick for the Cincinnati Bengals. Overall, like I said, I give them a B-. Amarius Mims to me is what breaks this. I think he's boom or bust, but if he booms for this team, if he could actually just hold down the side and block for Joe Burrow, this team's going to be, competing in the Super Bowl contenders. If Amarius Mims can stay, on the, football field and keep Joe Burrow clean, and if Joe Burrow could stay on the football field as well. So B- for this team. I think it's a very solid draft. Next up, the Cleveland Browns, and for a team that didn't have that many picks, I give them a B. I think it's fairly solid. Michael Hall Jr. is someone who I thought very highly of. This guy's only 20 years old. He's only going to get better. Maybe not the biggest dude in terms of height, 6'3", 290, but very, very elite in terms of getting to the quarterback. I love his first step for a pass rusher. Very active and fast hands, very violent hands. And like I said, only 20 years old. He's only going to get better. I like this pickup for this team. Zach Zetzer, I think, could be a starting guard for many teams if he was drafted by other teams. I think this is a good pickup for them, good value pickup. Jamari Thrash, I thought, is a very, very smart wide receiver. He just gets open. I love his route running ability. 6 foot, 188. I think he has a chance to, get a lot of PT for this team right off the bat. Like I said, I just love his route running ability. He's a smart player, and he gets open. Watson was okay. Nathaniel Watson was okay. Not the biggest fan of the selection right here. Miles Harden, I think is fairly solid for this pickup right here. Getting him in the 7th round. I thought Miles Harden was better than a 7th round pick. I knew he was definitely going to get drafted in the later rounds, but I was thinking more mid-6, late 6. So to get him, in the 7th round is very good value. I think, he's a very, very instinctive cornerback, more of an off-ball type of guy. 5'11", 5'10", not the biggest dude, 5'11", 195 pounds, but I think this was a good pickup for them. Overall, like I said, I give them a B. For a team that didn't have that many picks, I thought they did fairly solid. Had fairly solid ones. I really do like this Jamari Thrash pick in the 5th round. And the next team is the Dallas Cowboys, and I give them a B plus. I loved what they did with their picks. Tyler Guyan, I felt like was a Dallas Cowboys pick. Definitely still a project player on the offensive line or at the tackle position. I mean, but he's 6'8", 322. I thought fundamentally he was better than a guy like Amir Smith, and I thought he was more of a plug and play player than a guy like Amir Smith. So I like this pickup for the Dallas Cowboys, especially at pick 29 and trading back a couple picks with the. I think they traded with the Lions. Yeah, from Detroit. Yeah, they traded with the Lions because they gave the Lions Terry Arnold. I forgot. Marshawn Nealon. I like this pickup right here. They needed to add another pass rusher, in my opinion. This defense last year couldn't get off the field on third down, so getting another pass rusher like Marshawn Nealon, who has a lot of upside, 6'3", 267, very athletic, long arms, shoots off the edge very, very well. I like his fast, active hands. I thought this was a good pickup. Micah Parsons, and DeMarcus Lawrence, obviously the top pass rushers on this team. They needed a third guy, and Marshawn Nealon is going to be that guy. Cooper Beebe, I was super, super high on Cooper Beebe. I thought he overall as a guard, he was my second-ranked guard in this year's draft class. Super, super good fundamentally wise. I think in the pass game department, he's a brick wall. You can't get around him. Maybe not the most athletic guy. I think, in a phone booth, he's a really good pass blocker, but when he has to move around, that's where he kind of struggles. But like I said, I think he's a very good, guard. 6'3", 322, and even ESPN has him at the position as his position ranked number 2. So, like I said, I think he's a very good guard, and he's going to be for this Dallas Cowboys team. Maurice Luafai is boom or bust. I think he has a really, really high ceiling, a lot of potential. I like this film. You either like this film or you don't, but my biggest question marks for Maurice Luafai are his eyes. I think at times he gets lost in traffic, can't really navigate through the traffic and lose the side of the ball. I don't think at times he takes the best angles, and I think his tackling technique at times isn't the greatest, but outside of that, man, I think he's a very good player. I think he's always around the football. I love the violentness and physicality he plays with as a linebacker. He's not afraid to come downhill, take blocks at the line of scrimmage. And in the downhill role, I think he's going to be very good. In coverage, in my opinion, he showed, some flashes as well in coverage, in my opinion, on film. I think this was a good pickup for them. Boom or bust, but this team, needed players that, could make a big impact. And if Maurice Luafai, isn't a bust, I think he's going to be a very good player right off the bat for this Dallas Cowboys team. Kalen Carson, I think, is a really good run support cornerback. Very, very good player. Very physical, very scrappy, very pesky. I do like this pickup for the Dallas Cowboys. Nathan Thomas has upside. The tackle from Louisiana has a lot of upside. 6'5", 332, position rank 24. I thought this was a good pickup for them. Overall, like I said, I give them a B+. I thought this was a really good draft class for the Dallas Cowboys. Yes, they didn't draft a running back, but who cares? They fully revamped their offensive line. I really do like Tyler Guyan and Cooper Beebe a lot. Like I said, I give them a B+. I think these first 5 picks right here find themselves playing a lot of valuable snaps for the Dallas Cowboys. The next team is the Denver Broncos, and I thought this was a solid draft. I give them a C+. Bo Nix, definitely the only quarterback on the board that they had to take. I just don't like the selection of where they drafted him. I'm not mad at the pick. They needed a quarterback. Bo Nix was the only guy on the board. And I think with Sean Payne, he could be a very good quarterback. Bo Nix, very accurate, in the middle of the field, intermediate, areas. Maybe not the most booming arm in the world, but, Sean Payne worked with a guy like Drew Brees, who, thrived at, hitting those intermediate throws to short passes. So, Bo Nix, I'm not comparing them by any means, but, is working with a guy like Sean Payne, who kind of, worked with a quarterback that's similar to Bo Nix in terms of style. I just don't like where they drafted him. Jonah Ellis, I really do like this pickup right here. I thought Jonah Ellis was very, very productive at Utah. I think he's a very good edge. 6'2", 248, fairly athletic. I just like the way he gets outside. Troy Franklin, this was a steal. I had Troy Franklin as my 6th wide receiver in this year's draft class. Very, very explosive, very dynamic. People want to just say he's MVS. They just give him this archetype to every other speedy wide receiver that maybe doesn't have the greatest of hands. But Troy Franklin, man, is a very good hands catcher. I love his ability to jump up and go get the ball as well. I think he has that above the rim ability. Maybe not the most consistent hands, but he's going to with Bo Nix, his quarterback that he played with at Oregon and in college. I think he's going to have a very good rookie campaign. People could say whatever they want about Troy Franklin. Oh, he doesn't beat the press, whatever. He could get, put out of press. There's a lot of other wide receivers I can name that, do the same, that get put out of press. Cornerbacks that press them, they don't have that big of an impact as well. But Troy Franklin, to me, is a very polished route runner. I think, he has a lot of release packages off the line. And he's going to be a steal for this Broncos team. Chris Abrams-Drain is a ball hawk. I really do like this pickup for them. Very, very good cornerback in my eyes. 5'11", 179. Why can I not? 179 pounds. He's a ball hawk. Maybe a super aggressive play style at times does get beat because of that, but man, he makes up for it with some crazy recovery speed and ball hawking plays. I really do like this pickup. Audric Estimine, really big bruiser back out of Notre Dame, 5'11", 221, really athletic as well. I don't know how I feel about the pairing of Audric Estimine and Javonte Williams. I think both guys are big bruiser backs that are very athletic. They have the ability to also kind of take. I wouldn't really consider them just straight bruisers because I think both of them are fairly athletic. I really do like Javonte Williams a lot still. But I just don't really like the pairing with both of them, I should say. But I think Audric Estimine is a very good running back. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, a C plus for the Denver Broncos. I just don't really like the Bo Nix pick right here at pick 12. But yet again, other teams needed a quarterback. He was the only real good quarterback on the board. There's no guarantee if you trade back that he was still good on the board. So overall, C plus. I think Jonah Allison, Troy Franklin, and Chris Abrams-Drains are all good pickups for them. The next team is the Detroit Lions, man, and I give them a B plus. I thought they were the huge winners and the obvious winners of day one. For them to trade up in front of the Green Bay Packers, their division rivals, and get the number one cornerback in this year's draft class in Terrion Arnold, to me was just a subpar move and also a dickhead move. But no, I mean, honestly, though, this was a great move for the Detroit Lions. This was a team that needed cornerback help, and they got the best one in this year's draft class. They got a dog, someone that I think is very good in zone coverage, someone that I think is very good in man coverage, and someone that's, not afraid to come downhill and, tackle guys. I think that's his best aspect, or his best trait about him is his ability to come downhill and make tackles as a cornerback. His pro comparison right here is Devin Witherspoon. I can definitely see that. Man, such a good pickup for the Detroit Lions, man. In my opinion, they won day one because of this right here. I have a bone to pick with the Detroit Lions and the Dallas Cowboys. Why Detroit? I mean, why Dallas? Why would you guys? Come on, Dallas. I was heartbroken by this. Ennis Rakestraw Jr., such good value right here. I expect this cornerback room to be super good next year, man. Carlton Davis was one of my favorite cornerbacks in the NFL already. Lockdown cornerback from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They acquire him. Then they go out there and get Amik Robertson, the small cornerback out of Las Vegas. They acquired him as well. Very good slot cornerback. I said small cornerback. Very good slot cornerback from the Raiders from last year. He has that dog mentality. He just felt like a Lions player. Then they go in this draft class to get Terrion Arnold and Ennis Rakestraw Jr. And they also have guys like Emmanuel Mosley, who I think when Emmanuel Mosley is healthy, is a solid cornerback option as well. So I think this secondary next year is going to be very good. And, the Lions had to do this. The Bears, put together, in my opinion, the best trio at the wide receiver position in the NFL. And then you have the Packers. I'm going to hype up my wide receivers. You have the Packers that have a lot of young wide receiver studs. And then you have, the Vikings with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, T.J. Hockenson, and now Aaron Jones at the backfield as well. So the Lions had to go out there. Or did I say the Lions? I meant the Vikings. The Vikings with the Justin Jefferson. Did I say that? Anyways, the Lions had to go out there and get cornerback help. Terrion Arnold, the best cornerback in this year's draft class. Ennis Rakestraw Jr., phenomenal value for where they got him. I love those two pickups right there. Then they took a chance on Giovanni Manu, and I'm not really up to par with him. He is a guy from British Columbia, so they took a chance on him. I'm not a huge fan of the Sion Vaki pick right here. He is a safety from Utah who also plays running back. He just fit that dog mentality and grit that the Detroit Lions play with. But I just didn't like the pickup. Mekhi Wingo, man, I love this pickup right here. I think this was a great pickup for them. I think Mekhi Wingo, yes, he is undersized at 6 foot, 284 pounds. But, man, he's a technician with his hands. And then Christian Magny, I thought was very good value in the 6th round. I thought Christian Magny was actually a really good guard. Position rank for ESPN, he was a 6th ranked guard. So, I thought this was a very good draft for the Detroit Lions. I give them a B+. Just not a huge fan of the Giovanni Manu selection and the Sion Vaki selection. But outside of that, man, I give them a really good draft. Grade B+. Then the next team, the one, the only Green Bay Packers, man. And, I loved our draft class. I thought Brian Gutekunst killed it. I give us a B plus, man. Jordan Morgan, I wasn't the biggest fan the first 24 hours, not because I don't think Jordan Morgan is a good prospect. I actually had him as my fourth ranked tackle prospect in this year's draft class. Just because I thought Jordan Morgan was more of a second round pick, but after day one, there was a lot of conversations that the Commanders were trying to trade up to go get Jordan Morgan. So if other teams thought very highly of him and they thought he was a first round pick, I'm all for it. I just thought Jordan Morgan was more of a second round pick because of the 20 ACL in 2022. Edgerrin Cooper was my linebacker one in this year's draft. Linebacker one in this year's draft class. Reminds me a lot like Patrick Queen. I'm not just saying this because my Packers picked him up, but he was my linebacker one in this year's draft class. I'm a huge fan of Edgerrin Cooper. Maybe, isn't the greatest in coverage, isn't that instinctive in drop zone coverage or anything like that. Can get lost with pre-snap motion, but man, reminds me a lot like Patrick Queen. This guy's a heat-seeking missile. And him and Quay Walker, man, are going to be such a dynamic and physical duo at the linebacker position. I'm super, super stoked as a Packers fan to watch our defense. Javon Bullard, man, I'm not just saying this because I'm a Packers fan and we picked him up, man, but Javon Bullard was also my number one safety in this year's draft class. So, Brian Gutekunst, I have to, give you a round of applause. You obviously watch my mock drafts. Javon Bullard, to me, was the best covered safety in this year's draft class and one of the most versatile secondary players overall in this year's draft class. For the Packers, I think he could play slot cornerback, could play, back deep for the safety position as well. Just super versatile. I think he could play at all three levels in the secondary. 5'11", 198 pounds, brings the physicality, brings the grit. Like I said, the best covered safety in this year's draft class. Maybe doesn't give you all the, box score or like all the pass breakups or anything, or like the interceptions in the world. But one thing Javon Bullard does that, I don't think any other safety does that well in this year's draft class is read route concepts. He's super good at reading route concepts. Marshawn Lloyd was my 6th ranked running back in this year's draft class. Didn't produce that much at USC, but I mean, they had Caleb Williams, so he didn't really get the opportunity to. But athletically, man, I think he's one of the best running backs in this year's draft class. He has all the athletic traits you want. Reminds me a lot like Ray Rice. Hopefully he doesn't have, the outside, shenanigans with him. But 5'9", 220, position ranked 4 by ESPN. I thought he was a very good pickup for the Packers. Reminds me a lot like Ray Rice. Tyron Hopper, I still haven't got behind this pick as a Packers fan. I don't understand this pick. I get we're moving to the 4-3 defensive scheme, but I'm just not a huge Tyron Hopper fan. I was very underwhelmed with his film. But he is rangy. He is athletic, 6'2", oh, Lord Jesus, excuse me. 6'2", 231. Like I said, is rangy, is athletic. I just wasn't the biggest fan of this selection, especially when guys like Cedric Gray were on the board. I was a huge fan of Cedric Gray. I think Cedric Gray is going to be a stud. Evan Williams was my 11th ranked safety in this year's draft class. Thought we got him a little bit too high, but it is what it is. He was one of my favorite, or I thought he was one of the best run support safeties in this year's draft class. A really good blitzer as well. Like his athleticism, like his height, like his frame for the safety position. A very, very good pickup for the Pack. 5'11". I thought he was more 6 foot in my opinion. 6 foot, 6'1". Agree to disagree, ESPN. Jacob Monk, I think this guy is very, very athletic for the center position. A demon puller. I love his ability to get to the other side very quickly and just, use his physicality, his demeanor in the run game. I think he's a really good run blocker, a very good puller. Could maybe find himself playing some snaps, if Josh Myers is not playing consistent enough. Katana Ladapo, still, he was my 10th ranked safety in this year's draft class, and we got him in round 5. He's a steal. Travis Glover, very, very good tackle from Georgia State. Isn't the most athletic. Michael Pratt, I thought, in terms of value, was a good pickup right here. And then Kalen King, I think this is the steal of the draft, man. I know 2023 wasn't the greatest season for Kalen King. Then he went to the Senior Bowl, didn't have the greatest of showings. Then went to the Combine, obviously didn't score that well. But in 2022, man, was one of the best coverage cornerbacks in college football. And you don't just do that, man. You don't just go, become one of the best coverage cornerbacks in college football by fluke. I still think he has a lot of talent. I still think he plays with a lot of good technique. It's more of a confidence thing for him right now, and I think he's going to be a very good slot cornerback for the Packers. So overall, like I said, I give us a B+. I think we hit home run hitters with Edgerrin Cooper and Javon Bullard. I think these are two guys that are going to make huge impacts on our defense, and I can't wait for week 1. Next team is the Houston Texans, and I honestly did like what they did. I gave them a B. They had a lot of later picks, so it is what it is. But Kamar Lassiter, a lot of people want to talk about his 40 time. Technique-wise, man, coverage ability-wise, I thought he was one of the best coverage cornerbacks in the collegiate level. Maybe not the fastest guy, could get exposed because he doesn't have the greatest recovery speed, but he hardly gets out of position, and I think him on the other side of Derek Stingley is a very solid duo. Blake Fisher, I really do like this pickup. Don't know if he's going to be a guard or tackle at the next level. I think he can play both, but very good pickup for the Houston Texans right there. Kalen Bullock, another guy who I'm very interested to see where he plays. I'm interested to see where the Houston Texans use him, because there's reports that the Texans might look at him as a cornerback as well. But I think Caleb Bullock, very, like it says right here, I already read this right here earlier, but Bullock is a safety with the range and length to play center field, and that's, what I think he'd play for the Houston Texans or just with any NFL team in general. Very lengthy, very good in pass coverage. I like his instinctive ability. Just don't like his inconsistentness in terms of tackling. Very, very poor in the tackling department, in my opinion. Cade Stover, solid pick. I think this is a guy that has a lot of upside at the tight end position. Jamal Hill I wasn't really too familiar with, so I'm not going to talk about. Jawad Jordan wasn't very productive for Louisville. I like the pickup for them right here. Solomon Boyd, I actually really do like this pickup a lot, especially in the 7th round. Around 6'3", 6'4", yeah, 6'3", 255. I thought he was very explosive off the line. I like the way he gets, to the edge, has active and fast hands, and he's also, able to hold the edge and stop runs from going to the outside. Outside of that, man, Marcus Harris, solid pick. Ladarius Henderson, solid pick from Michigan. So, like I said, I give them a B. I think it's a very solid pick. I think Kamari Lassiter, Blake Fisher, and Kalen Bullock and Cade Stover are all very good picks for the Houston Texans. Next is the Indianapolis Colts, and I give them a B. I thought this was a very solid draft class. I'm leaning more towards a B+, because I like these first two picks a lot. Laiatu Latu was the second defensive player in this year's draft class, in my opinion. The best pass rusher in this year's draft class, best edge rusher. Gives me TJ Watt vibes, maybe not as physical or powerful by any means, but just the way they use their hands gives me TJ Watt vibes. A little bit of a risky pick, though, because, his health concerns, but if healthy, man, I think he's going to be a premier player, premier edge rusher in the NFL. A.D. Mitchell, man, this right here to me was a home run hitter. I had A.D. Mitchell as my 4th ranked wide receiver in this year's draft class. There is talks that he fell because of character concerns, his diet concerns, and then that he's diabetic. So if that's the reasons, I thought, the Colts got a phenomenal pickup in the 2nd round. I think this guy is going to be, a median player, a median starter. I think he's going to be, one of the guys, Anthony Richardson is going to throw the ball to a lot right off the bat. And I could see him honestly starting, being the 2nd string wide receiver right behind Michael Pittman. So a very, very good pickup for the Indianapolis Colts. Goncalves, I thought this was very solid for them. He's probably going to be a tackle for them, could be guard. There is a lot of question marks what he's going to be because he doesn't really have the size to play tackle, but I think he's fairly solid. 6'6", 327. I think he could play tackle or guard. I think that's a good pickup for them. Tanya Bortolini, I love this pickup. Bortolini was a guy I thought was very, very good from Wisconsin. Really, really athletic, has a lot of versatility. He could be a guy that could be the center, for this team for many years. Who knows if develop right. Anthony Gould, didn't do too much scouting on him. I know he's a smaller wide receiver, 5'8", 174. Going to be a slot guy. I thought Josh Downs was holding it down last year. I don't really understand this pick. Another slot guy, but who knows? Maybe he could be a really good special teamer for them. Jalen Carlisle's. I thought this was a solid pickup. I actually liked him and Jalen Simpson for the Colts a lot. Jalen Carlisle's, I'm interested to see how they play him. 6'3", 227. Not that athletic, in my opinion, to be a true safety at the next level, but also he is athletic enough to be a safety, but I think, he's going to be a box safety at the next level, and I'm very interested to see how the Colts use him. I like his abilities in the run department aspect. Jalen Simpson, I really do like a lot. He's very instinctive. I like his coverage abilities. I thought this was a very good value pickup for the Colts. So I thought this was a very good draft for the Colts. Like I said, I give them a B. A very, very solid draft for the Indianapolis Colts. Michael Abraham and Jonah Laulu. I don't really know too much about, so I can't, talk about these guys. But Jalen Simpson was a guy I was very high on from Auburn. I thought this was a phenomenal pickup, a home run hitter in the 5th round. I think this is a guy who could maybe, find himself getting some really, really valuable snaps for this team early on. So overall, B. I thought the Colts drafted very well. Then the next team was the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I give them a B. I thought they started off super, super strong. Brian Thomas Jr., I really do like this pickup a lot. My 5th wide receiver in this year's draft class. A little bit raw, but he's going to develop. I think he only started playing football in the 11th or 10th grade. Has an insane catch radius, is a super athlete at the wide receiver position. Him and Trevor Lawrence are going to be a good duo. Mason Smith, I'm very high on, but I thought he went just a little bit too early, but I can't, hate on them for this pick right here. 6'5", 306, very, very athletic as well, just a big guy. I think he's going to be good for this team. People said Jerry Jones went too early. I'm a huge fan of Jerry Jones. I love this film. I thought he was a really good man coverage cornerback in the slot. I mean, on the outside, I think at the next level he's going to be a slot cornerback though, and I think he's going to be good for this team. Javon Foster, I think, went a little bit too early, but I think Javon Foster's a stud. One of my favorite tackles in this year's draft class. One of my more underrated tackles in this year's draft class, in my opinion. They got him in the 4th round, a little bit too early, but I like the pickup. I think they went downhill a little bit after this. Jordan Jefferson, a little bit too high. I was not a big fan. Deontay Price, okay pick. Robinson from Texas. Actually, I think this is a solid pick. I think he produced after, Jonathan Brooks went down, my bad. So I think this is a solid pick for them in the later rounds in the 5th round. Cam Little can't go wrong with the kicker. And then Miles Cole, I thought was a very solid pick. This guy had the longest arm length, or the longest wingspan. What does it say right here? Plus, no player at the combine had longer arms. So regardless of position. So I like this pickup. 6'6", 278. Has the longest arms at the edge position, or just over at any position. Could be a very good pass rusher. Could be a solid, rotational 3rd down specialist for this team. Like I said, give them a B. I thought this Jordan Jefferson pick, Deontay Price pick, this Robinson pick right here, all okay picks. Javon Foster maybe went a little too early, but I'm a huge Javon Foster fan. Like I said, give them a B. I think this is a very solid draft class. Next is the Kansas City Chiefs, man, and I give them an A. We can't let them keep getting away with this, man. They drafted so well this draft, man. Xavier Worthy was the guy the Chiefs wanted. I thought they would have went with a guy like Ladd McConkey, A.D. Mitchell, maybe even with trading back down and getting a guy like Keon Coleman, but they traded up to get Xavier Worthy, and it makes sense, man. They wanted to be the most explosive, most dynamic. And I'm very interested to see Marquise Brown and Xavier Worthy with Rashee Rice. I think that's going to be a very explosive offense. Sua Mataya went in the 2nd round, end of the 2nd round. I thought that's where he would have went. More of a project player in my eyes, but who knows, could be a starter for them. Jared Wiley, I think that's a very good pickup. Down the line, could be the starter after Travis Kelce, retires, or, finally decides to put the cleats up for the Kansas City Chiefs. So could very well be the starter after Travis Kelce. 6'6", 249, I think he's fairly athletic. I like his route running ability for a tight end. Jaden Hicks, phenomenal pickup. Very good box safety. I'm surprised he fell this late. I wasn't the biggest Jaden Hicks fan in the world, but I just thought he was way better than falling, down to the 4th round like this. I think this is a guy who is very solid in coverage, very athletic as well. I didn't like his sideline speed, but I like his long speed. I like this straight speed, and I like this downhill speed. But like I said, very good box safety. I'm surprised he fell. Hunter Norzad, I think, has starting center potential. Kamal Haddon, very athletic, cornerback from Tennessee / safety. I'm surprised how they use him. I'm interested to see how they use them. C.J. Hansen from Holy Cross. Don't know too much about him, but what I've seen off the stats or PFF-wise, very good pass blocker, very good run blocker. Did play against lesser competition. Like I said, I give them an A, man. This was a very good draft. Top to bottom, a lot of good value picks. And I think some of these guys like Jared Riley, Jaden Hicks, and Hunter Norzad down the line could all be starters for this team for many years. And the next team is the LA Chargers, and I'll give them an A+, man. I loved their draft class, man. People are going to say, they didn't draft Malik Neighbors. I picked 5. Joe Alt was the safest pick, the safest bet for, that pick. Joe Alt is going to be a starter for this team, a franchise player for this team for many, many years. Easily the best offensive lineman, not just tackle, but the best offensive lineman, in my opinion, in this year's draft class. 6'9", 321. I mean, he's so good. Pass blocking wise, so good. Run blocking wise, he's a molar. I love that pickup. They need to protect Justin Herbert, man. I mean, the amount of times I've seen Justin Herbert get injured, go back into the game because he's just a warrior. He's a soldier. But the amount of times I've seen this man get hurt, play through injuries because, he's getting hit. It's about time they get him a premier tackle. Someone in Joe Alt who's 6'9". I mean, the dude's basically a building on the field for Justin Herbert. No one's getting around him. So this was a great pick. Ladd McConkey, I have him as my 6A, 6B wide receiver. I have him and Troy Franklin, tied. Ladd McConkey, in my opinion, is the best route runner in this year's draft class. Really good athlete as well. Super good after the catch. He's going to be very good with Justin Herbert. Just a smart wide receiver, man. He's going to tear it up, in my opinion. Junior Colson was my number 2 linebacker in this year's draft class. Super instinctive. I think the most instinctive linebacker in this year's draft class. I also think the most sure tackler as well. They got a phenomenal pick right there, a phenomenal player. Justin Igby, very good player, very good edge, very good run stuffer. I like his ability. They have him as a D tackle. I definitely, It's interesting. I think he's more of a D tackle, D end, definitely at the next level. I think he's super versatile. I think he's very athletic, 6'4", 297, but I think he moves honestly like a guy that's 6'4", 278. I think he's fairly athletic. I like his ability to stop the run. He's still developing more as a pass rusher, as a guy that's getting to the quarterback. I think that's a really good pickup. Tariq still okay pickup. I wasn't the biggest fan of him, but they do need more quarterback help, so it makes sense. Cam Hart, I love this pickup right here. Cam Hart gives me Jalen Johnson vibes. I think he's going to be a very good lockdown cornerback in the NFL. Not going to get all the interceptions in the world, not going to get all the pass breakups in the world, but I love his size for a cornerback. 6'3", 202. For a guy that size, man, he's very fluid. He's very smooth, in his back pedal and just breaking on receivers and breaking on the ball. I love that. I love that pickup for the Chargers. Vidal, running back for Troy. Don't know too much about him. Didn't watch that much film about him. He looks super explosive though, from the little bit of things I've seen on Twitter. Brandon Rice, I really do like this pickup right here. Maybe not the most productive dude in the world, and people would be like, "Why are you just drafting him because he's Jerry Jones's Jerry Jones? Jesus Christ, Jerry Rice's son." But Brandon Rice, man, had the most EPA of all time at the collegiate level. When he was on the field, man, he was super effective, and he's gonna be a really good deep threat at the next level. Maybe not the greatest in terms of long speed, but he's super, good off the line, man. He has a lot of release packages. He knows how to set up his routes. He knows how to set up defenders. I love his ability to stack defenders and use leverage. I think this was a steal for the Chargers in the later rounds. Has a lot of potential. And then Cornelius Johnson, another wide receiver, just a big body guy. Like his 50-50 ball ability. Like I said, this is an A+ draft for the LA Chargers, man. Maybe not the sexiest of drafts. I know people want to Malik Neighbors with the first selection here, but Joe Alt's going to be better for this team for many, many years overall than a pick like Malik Neighbors. So like I said, an A+ for this team. Then the next team is the LA Rams, and I give them a B+, man. I really like what they did, man. Jared Verse, in my opinion, was the third best edge rusher in this year's draft class. Maybe needs to work on more like finesse moves at the next level. He's all power in my opinion right now, but 6'4", 254. I love this pickup for them right here. Then they got Braden Fisk, who I thought was very, very good. One of the most athletic defensive tackles I've ever seen on film. Position rank number 3. I like this back-to-back Florida State picks right here. I seen the video of these two guys. I guess Jared Verse made the call to Braden Fisk, who was going to make the call to tell him he was getting selected by the Chargers, which is pretty dope. Blake Corum, I like the running back. I don't know if I like the fit. I thought Kyron Williams was the workhorse back, but Blake Corum could probably take the load from Kyron Williams. Kyron Williams did get banged up a little bit last year, so this could be a very balanced offense next year, which is good. Matt Stafford getting older, you maybe don't want to be such a pass-heavy team. He does get banged up, so honestly, I like the pickup right there. Could be a very good balanced team. Cameron Kitchens, I think, is still a very solid safety. I don't care what the RES says. I don't care that he had a bad year this year. I think he's still a very good safety. One of the best in this year's draft class. He's going to be good for this Rams team, in my opinion. Braden Jackson, I really do like this pick right here. Super speedy off the edge, 6'4", 264. This team needed to get more pass rushers, and they did that in this draft class. Tyler Davis, very, very athletic. I like him, honestly, 6'2", 301. I like his ability to play the leverage game. I like his hand usage as well. Brock Slimmer, I like this pickup. I think he has, maybe starting center potential. I think he's fairly athletic. Overall, like I said, I give them a B+. I really do like this draft for the LA Rams. Then the next team is the Las Vegas Raiders, and I thought they had a very solid draft. I give them a B. Kind of leaning more towards a B+, but I thought that towards the middle of the area right here, the middle rounds, it was kind of lackluster for them. But Brock Bowers, they got at pick 13, and people hated on this pick, but I'm pretty sure if there was a quarterback on the board, they would have went with quarterback. There wasn't a quarterback, though, for them at pick 13, so they went best pick available, which was Brock Bowers pretty easily. I think Brock Bowers has the upside to be a top 10 tight end in the league, but I also think Michael Mayer, who was the tight end they drafted last year, has the ability to be a top 10 tight end as well. I'm very high on both of those guys. The two tight end sets are going to be very legendary. Jackson Powers-Johnson was the best center in this year's draft class, in my opinion. I think he could play guard, and he could be very good at guard. I thought Jackson Powers-Johnson was, one of the best overall, offensive linemen in this draft class. So I think the Raiders got to steal. Damar Glaze, more projected to be a guard at the next level, around 6'4", 6'5", 6'4", 315. But I think at the next level, the Raiders will give him a shot at tackle. Yes, he is undersized, but more and more we see guys around 6'4", 6'5" that, have good, technique, good fundamentally wise. Come in and play tackle. Obviously, if it doesn't work out, they get bumped to guard. But I think Damar Glaze is one of those guys that could, play tackle for a little bit. I think he is good fundamentally and technique wise. The Cameron Richardson, I think this was a good pick for the Raiders. He just fits the Raiders' defensive scheme. Very pesky, very physical, has the range. I like his tackling ability, his physicality. I thought the next best pick for them was Trey Taylor. I thought Trey Taylor was a steal in the 7th round. I thought Trey Taylor was actually one of the best safeties, at the collegiate level that was under the radars. 5'10", 209, very, very athletic. I like his coverage abilities. I like his ability to come downhill and hit people. Overall, like I said, I give them a B, leaning towards a B+. I thought this was a very solid draft for the Raiders. And this is a team who I think, with Gardner Minshew as the quarterback now, has a chance to, be playoff contenders. So I thought this was a good draft for the Raiders. Then the next team is the Miami Dolphins, and I give them a B+. I really do like the Chop Robinson pick right here. This team is just fast in general, and they got one of the most, explosive guys off the line in this year's draft class in Chop Robinson, someone that has all the athletic traits. Maybe edge wasn't the most, premium or biggest need for them. I thought edge, they definitely need to add another guy into the, pass rusher room, but maybe it wasn't worth the first selection, people saying. But Chop Robinson, man, is going to be a stud. I think he has all the traits you want from a pass rusher. And once he gets developed right, gets his feet set, I think he's going to be very good. Patrick Paul was the best tackle on the board at the time. More of a project player, another 6'8" dude, big body guy. I think for this team, this is what they needed. They needed another offensive tackle. Patrick Paul, the best on the board. Can't complain. Jalen Wright, I like the pickup. I thought they had a lot of good running backs already, but more competition. Like I said, this team is all speed. They get a very dynamic running back. And, Jalen Wright, man, this is going to be very dynamic for this team. Very, very explosive running back. Muhammad Kamara, undersized edge rusher. I like Muhammad Kamara a lot. They got another edge rusher. Very solid pickup, I guess. I didn't think they needed another need for edge rusher. Malik Washington, 5'9", 191 pounds. Just a dog. I do like Malik Washington a lot. Then outside of that, Taj Washington, solid, 5'10". Overall, like I said, I give them a B+. I thought this was a very solid draft class. I thought the first couple ones right here were impact players. I think Jalen Wright, he's probably going to be the second string running back, maybe third string running back, but I could see them, all the running backs getting a lot of value in Miami. Volume in Miami, and all of them getting a good amount of carries. So I think, this could be a very good pickup. Chop Robinson, I think, he's going to be finding himself a lot of, valuable snaps for this team right off the bat. So, like I said, a B+. I think it's a solid draft for the Miami Dolphins. They got some really good impact players. Then the next team is the Minnesota Vikings, and I give them an A-, man. Very, very solid draft. For them to get their quarterback of the future, J.J. McCarthy, I think J.J. McCarthy and Drake May were the best, quarterbacks in terms of, offensive scheme fits for this team. Both of these guys attack the middle of the field very well. And J.J. McCarthy, he's going to be developed for a year, maybe the first 8 weeks behind Sam Darnold. And Kevin O'Connell is going to be his head coach and his play caller. So I think, this is a great fit for the Vikings and J.J. McCarthy. He was my QB4 in this year's draft class. Let's see what ESPN got him, ranked number 4. So a very, very good pickup for the Minnesota Vikings. Then for them to get one of the top 3 defensive players in this year's draft class, I picked 17 to trade up just a little bit. They did trade, a lot of good picks to get this guy, but I think this is a great pickup for them. They needed another pass rusher. They needed somebody on the defensive side of the ball. And I think Dallas Turner has superstar potential. It sucks that he's in the NFC North now. Kyrie Jackson, I really did like a lot. This big cornerback out of Oregon. He is an older prospect as well. But 6'4", 194 pounds. Very fluid for a guy 6'4", very smooth. Very good zone coverage cornerback in my opinion. Very good man coverage cornerback as well. I do like this pickup a lot for this team. Could very well be cornerback 1 by the end of the season. Who knows? I think Kyrie Jackson on this team, Kyrie Jackson on this Minnesota Vikings team and just defensive scheme in general is a very good fit. Walter Rouse, I was very high on. Could be a guard, could be a tackle at the next level. Who knows? Could be a guard, could be a tackle at the next level. Who knows? Very fundamentally sound. I like his athleticism, like his size, 6'6". Will Richard, in my opinion, the best kicker, one of the best kickers in college football last year. Very good pickup. Like I said, A-, J.J. McCarthy and Dallas Turner, Kyrie Jackson, Walter Rouse, going to be franchise players for this team, in my opinion, for many years. So, like I said, A-, good draft for the Minnesota Vikings. I got to give them credit where credit's due. Then the next team is the New England Patriots, and I give them an A+, man. If I could give them an A++, I really would. I thought this was a phenomenal draft, man. Drake May was my QB2 in this year's draft class. He has a lot of potential. Plays a lot like Josh Allen, plays a lot like Justin Herbert. there's a lot to clean up as well, but they signed Jacoby Brissett. I think Jacoby Brissett maybe plays the first couple of games. They let Drake May kind of develop for the first couple of weeks. Then they let him start. Jalen Polk, I love this pickup for this team. This guy is just a dog. Very good hands catcher. Just throw the ball up to him. He's going to make things happen. I like his ability after the catch as well. Very physical runner after the catch. Caden Wallace, I thought this was a very solid pickup. I thought Caden Wallace was a very good tackle from Penn State. Very solid pickup. Could play guard at the next level, but I would like to see him at tackle. I think he was very good fundamentally. Plays with good leverage. Layden Robinson, very good pickup. I like Layden Robinson a lot, man. Like I said, I thought they killed the draft. I thought the Patriots really did. Javon Baker, man. If you watch my YouTube short about Javon Baker, man, I thought he had first-round talents. But I thought Javon Baker really did have first-round talents. Yes, his catch rate, his catch drop percentage is high, but very good hands catcher. And his player comparison to me is Stephon Diggs, man. He is a very Javon Baker is a very crafty and fluid route runner. That's very route savvy. He understands the nuisance of getting open. I like his ability to use leverage on DBs. I like his ability to go up and get the football. I wouldn't be surprised, man, if Javon Baker ends up being a better wide receiver than Jalen Polk, man. That's just how I feel. I think Javon Baker is a stud, and he's going to be a stud for this team, especially with Drake May. Messias Dio, I thought, was a very good cornerback for South Carolina, and South Carolina is always known for producing good cornerbacks, so I thought this was a very good pickup. Joe Milton, can't go wrong with two quarterbacks, I guess, but I thought Joe Milton had a lot of upside, so I think this is a good pickup just because, quarterback insurance, I guess. What if Drake May gets hurt? You could throw in Joe Milton. So, Jaleen Bell, I really do like this pickup. Undersized for a tight end, 6'2", but very, very athletic, very good hands. I'm interested to see how they use him as a player at the NFL level. Like I said, I think the Patriots deserve an A+, maybe even an A++. Very good draft, man. Then the next team is the New Orleans Saints, and I give them a B. No, I'm going to give them a B+ because I really like Talise Fuaga a lot. Fuaga, such a dope name to say. I really do like Talise Fuaga a lot, man. I think he's very well polished. I think he's a solid athlete as well. Could play guard, but I think at the next level, I would like to see him play tackle. Very good run blocker, very physical. I like his demeanor. Kool-Aid McKinstry, I thought this was such a good pick for the Saints. We did trade with them so they could get Kool-Aid McKinstry, but I thought Kool-Aid McKinstry, man, was the 5th-ranked cornerback in this year's draft class. I thought he was one of the best man-coverage cornerbacks in this year's draft class. Such a smart cornerback, doesn't get out of position. Maybe not the greatest athlete, man, but he doesn't get out of position, so he doesn't really need to be tested in terms of his athleticism. Has the length, has the height you want. I think he's going to be very good at the next level. Spencer Rattler, now, their first pick, their last pick was Kool-Aid McKinstry in their 2nd round. Their next pick in the 5th round was Spencer Rattler, so it is kind of hard to evaluate these guys in the later rounds, but I still think they got very good value. Spencer Rattler, who knows, could be the quarterback of the future for this team. I know people want to, let a show that happened, in his high school days affect what they think about Spencer Rattler, but very, very talented quarterback, very, very talented thrower of the football. He's going to sit behind Derek Carr for maybe a year or two, and who knows what could happen. Bud Means, very sick name. I actually thought he was very solid at Pittsburgh. I like his height, 6'1", 212. All around, in my opinion, a very good wide receiver. Could maybe work more on his release packages on the outside. Jalen Ford, a very good tackling machine from Florida, Texas. I thought he was fairly solid. I like his size as well, 6'2", 240, fairly athletic. Christian Boyd, I thought this was a sleeper. Did play at Northern Iowa, which doesn't play the best competition, but I thought this guy was super, super dominant on film. 6'4", 317. I love the leverage he plays with. He has fast and violent hands. It's going to be interesting to see how he plays against NFL-level competition. Like I said, played at Northern Iowa, which doesn't play the best competition, but super, super dominant on film. And then Ezra, right here at the 7th round, I thought this was good value. Solid pickup from Eastern Kentucky. So overall, like I said, I thought this was a very good draft for the New Orleans Saints. Talise Fuaga, Kool-Aid McKinstry, very, very good, 2 picks right there at the start. Then the next team is the New York Giants, and I thought they had a very, very good draft. I give them a B. Leaning more towards a B+. Malik Neighbors, home run hitter for them. Very, very good pickup. This is really the make or break it year for Daniel Jones these last 2 years maybe. So they need to see what, he has. So getting a guy like Malik Neighbors, who I think is going to be a premier target for Daniel Jones, is a very good pickup. Tyler Nubin, my safety number 2 in this year's draft class. He's a stud. I know his RES wasn't the greatest at his pro day, but 6'2", 199, very lengthy, very rangy. He's going to be that guy that, plays the deep center of the field. His pro comp is Justin Simmons. I could definitely see that, man. Super rangy. He's a ball hawk. I think he's going to be very good for this New York Giants defensive scheme and just team in general. Kind of reminds me like the Xavier McKinney pick, back then they had when they selected him. Cliche enough, my Packers picked up Xavier McKinney, and, they drafted Tyler Nubin. But I think, he reminds me a lot like, this Xavier McKinney pick when they drafted him. Super, super rangy. I like Tyler Nubin a lot, man. I think he's going to be a stud for the Giants. Andrew Phillips, I like this pickup a lot. Super, super athletic cornerback from Kentucky. Very good pickup. Theo Johnson, a very athletic tight end. Interested to see how they use him. I do think he could be very solid at the next level just because how athletic he is. And then the next pickup, Tyron Tracy, I really do think this was a very good pickup. He's going to be explosive for this team, man. And then Darius Moasu, linebacker from UCLA, I thought he was very underrated in this year's draft class. 6 foot, 225, so maybe doesn't have the height you want from a linebacker, but he was very productive in my opinion. So overall, like I said, this was a very good draft for the New York Giants, and I think they get a lot of impact players, man, from this draft class. Then the next team is the New York Giants, and I'm going to give them a C+. I think they actually got a lot of good players. I just don't understand some of the selections. Alufa Shanu was my tackle number 2 in this year's draft class. Very, very good pass blocker. Maybe doesn't need to even come in and start for this team, which is good. He could develop more. But I like to see them maybe shoot him inside to the guard position. I think they should throw their best 5 out there, especially if they want to protect Aaron Rodgers. And Alufa Shanu is definitely one of those guys. I think the Jets have a very stacked O-line right now in general, but a very good pickup. In my opinion, was the best player on the board. He's going to be a franchise player for this team for many years. Going to be an actual good, offensive tackle for this team. I think Alufa Shanu is going to be a safe bet, a safe pick for this team. Malachi Corley, man, very good player, man. Very route savvy wide receiver. I love his releases off the line. Just give him the ball in his hands, and things are going to happen. I just can't wait to see the quick, screen passes, with Aaron Rodgers' quick release. Him giving it to Malachi Corley and him making guys miss or just simply trucking guys. I think him, Garrett Wilson, and Mike Williams all are going to be very good, counterparts to each other, very good pieces, complementary pieces to each other, I should say. All of them have different skill sets, and all of them, in my opinion, work well together. Braylon Allen, I love this pickup. I think him, Breece Hall could be a very, very good, running back 1-2 punch. But I also thought they had enough running backs on their depth chart. I thought they also had some good ones. Jordan Travis could very well be the successor after Jordan Love. Oh my God, I'm a Packers fan. After Aaron Rodgers, he did break his leg, or what he? Yeah, he had an ending leg injury. I thought it was a 20 ACL. Had a leg injury. I thought Jordan Travis was playing super, super well before the leg injury, though. Obviously, this team went undefeated, and it was because of him. So, very, very good pickup. Could very well be the successor to Aaron Rodgers. Isaiah Davis, don't understand this pickup. I like the player, but I thought they had enough running backs on, the team already. Quintez Stingers, don't know too much about him. And then Jalen Key, don't know too much about him as well. I don't know if he's going to be more of a cornerback, slot cornerback, or safety at the next level. I'd be very interested to see. He has the height to play safety, but I don't know. He's an interesting player in my opinion. Like I said, very interesting draft for the Jets. I thought they started off very strong with the first 3 picks. First 4 picks, I should say. I like the Jordan Travis pick a lot too. Could be the successor down the line from Aaron Rodgers. But outside of that, man, I thought these were some lackluster picks with these last 3 ones. Like I said, I give them a C+. Wasn't the worst, but wasn't the best. Then the next team is the Philadelphia Eagles, and I give them an A+. Man, honestly, I don't know how Howie Roseman keeps doing it. Quinyon Mitchell was my cornerback 4 in this year's draft class, and I know a lot of people have him as a cornerback 1. I think Quinyon Mitchell is a stud. I just want to see more from him, in terms of press man. I think at Toledo he played a lot of off man, but luckily for him, man, the Eagles play a lot of off man, and they let their cornerbacks just, ball hawk. Obviously, they play some press as well, and I think Quinyon Mitchell is very good in press. I think his best abilities are mirroring, wide receivers' movement. So I think this was an A+ pick for them right there. Then the next pick, they went Cooper DeJean. I'm so interested to see how they use Cooper DeJean. I thought Cooper DeJean was locked in no matter what. I picked 22 to the Eagles if Quinyon Mitchell was off the board. I thought Cooper DeJean was just such an Eagles pick, man. Super gritty, super physical. Very good zone instinctive player, cornerback, but could also be safety at the next level. That's why I'm super interested to see how the Eagles use him. But easily, this guy was the best, run support, cornerback in the draft class. So he just fit the defensive scheme, defensive mold in terms of players, what the Philadelphia Eagles look for in terms of their defensive players. I just felt like he was such an Eagles pick. Jake's Hunt, I'm going to be honest, I don't know much about him. I know he went up the boards a lot the last couple weeks during the NFL draft, or right before the NFL draft. 6'4", 252. Can't say much about him because I don't know much. Will Shipley, I think he's a stud, man. Maybe not the most explosive guy, by any means, but him and Saquon Barkley, I think, are going to be a very good, running back duo. Will Shipley, very good receiving back, very good vision, great burst, great acceleration, just a solid running back. I thought Smith was a very good player at Texas A&M. I still think he is raw in terms of route running, but this is a high upside pick in my opinion, man. 50-50 ball winner, only 5'10", 5'11", not the biggest dude, but I thought this was a great pickup. Jamon Trotter Jr., I think this was an insane value pickup. I think Jamon Trotter Jr. might just be, the starting linebacker or the second string linebacker within the first week. I think Jamon Trotter Jr. is a stud, man. Not the size you want from the linebacker position, 6 foot, 228, but if you want an instinctive ball-hawking linebacker that's very fast and will make you pay if you throw near him, Jamon Trotter Jr. is your guy. Trevor Keegan, offensive guard for Michigan. I thought this was very, very good value. Johnny Wilson, the 6'7", it's only 6'6" now, but I'm going to say 6'7", the 6'7" wide receiver out of Florida State. Very good pickup, very good value. I'd be interested to see, how a transition to tight end would be for him. But let's see how he does at wide receiver. And then Dylan McMahon to end the draft for the Eagles. Very, solid pickup for them. Overall, A+ for the Eagles, man. They killed it. Howie Roseman. It's criminal that he keeps getting away with this. And then the team that I think won the draft, and I know I give the Patriots an A++, but I give these Steelers an A+++. I thought they killed it, man. This team has been trying to revamp that, offensive line, and I think they done it for once, man. I think Troy Fontanu is going to be such a good player for this team. Going to be probably a guard at the next level. Should be a guard at the next level, but super, super good technique-wise, man. I love his hand placement, his power, his redirect power. He's going to be good for this team. Zach Frazier is going to be a day one starter, in my opinion. Very, very good player. Very gritty. His pro comp is Creed Humphrey, so that's a very good pro comp. That's a player you want to be compared to. Roman Wilson, man, I think is a stud. I think this team needed a guy like Roman Wilson, and I think he just fits the NFC North, man. This guy's a shit talker. He's very confident, very cocky, and I just love him as a player. I like his route running ability. He's a great deep threat. I love his hands. He's going to be good on this team. Peyton Wilson, in terms of value, where they got him, end of the third round, where I think, maybe he was more of an early... I thought he was more of an early third round, late third round type of, mid third round type of guy. But for them to get him, in the later the third, late in the third, very, very good, value. The only things that scare me about Peyton Wilson is his age and injury concerns. But outside of that, man, very, very good player. Mason McCormick, another guy that I was, high on during the draft process. Played at South Dakota State, which didn't play the best competition, but this guy's a molar. He's very big. He's an athletic monster for the guard position. And he's a very good run blocker. Logan Lee, I thought this was good value. I thought this guy was very productive at Iowa. He's just a big body guy, 6'5", 281. He's just going to cause chaos up front. He's going to move guys. Ryan Watts, I thought this was a very good pickup in the 6th round. A free safety, cornerback type of guy. And very interested to see, how they use him at the next level. Like I said, I think they're the biggest winners of the NFL draft. The Pittsburgh Steelers killed it once again. I give them an A++++. Now the next team is the Seattle Seahawks, and I give them a B+. I thought they were super close to an A. I love the Brian Murphy pick. My number 2 defensive tackle in this year's draft class. My fourth overall defensive player in this year's draft class. Just a stud, man. Gonna be super, super good at the next level. Plays the leverage game to the next level. Man, 6'1", 297 pounds. He plays the leverage game phenomenal. Christian Hayes, very good guard from UConn. I thought, he was one of the better guards in this year's draft class. Surprised he was in the 3rd round. Great value pick. See, position ranked number 1. Even ESPN. Yeah, I thought he was one of the better guards overall in this year's draft class. Surprised he fell that low. Tyrese Knight, I'm not a huge fan of this selection at all for the Seattle Seahawks. Just not. I think this was honestly what made my grade low for them. In the 4th round, AJ Barner, not the same type of thing. Wasn't the biggest fan of the selection for the Seattle Seahawks. Is 6'6", 251. Is a reliable check down guy. Excuse me. Has the frame, but just wasn't a big fan of his tape. Pritchett, very fast cornerback from Auburn. 6 foot, 190, brings it. He's a dog. I like him. Surprised he went before DJ James, who the Seattle Seahawks also picked up. I'm a butcher his name. I always do, man. So the guy Luamu, God, dude, I need to work on his name, but the offensive lineman, I'll say the offensive lineman from Utah, this past year played tackle, was not the greatest at all. Allowed a lot of pressures, but the previous year did play guard, was fairly good. This is a high ceiling type of pick. I like his athleticism. I like his upside. I just don't like what he did this past year. I thought it was a terrible year for him. DJ James is a stud pick. Very, very good pickup. I thought he should have been the first Auburn, cornerback off the board, but I guess Pritchard, he did score better at the combine, so I guess it makes sense that he went first before DJ James, but I thought DJ James was the better Auburn, offensive. The cornerback there. And then Michael Jarrell, offensive tackle, Finlay. Can't speak much about this guy right here, but 6'5", 290. What is that? What did I say? 294. So, 294, a little bit undersized. Can't say much about Michael Jarrell though. But outside of that, man, B+, super close to an A. Just not a fan of Tyrese Knight and then AJ Barner. But outside of that, man, very, very good draft for the Seattle Seahawks. Then the next team was the San Francisco 49ers, and I give them a B. Ricky Pearsall, I know a lot of people were surprised by this pick. I thought Ricky Pearsall was a very polished wide receiver. I didn't think it was a big surprise he'd go in the first round, in my opinion. I just thought it was a surprise he went to the Niners. I knew the Niners would select a wide receiver in this year's draft class. I didn't think it'd be Ricky Pearsall in the first round, but like I said, I think he's very polished. A very smart route runner, understands how to use leverage, how to stack DBs, has very good hands, has the size and frame you want from a wide receiver, 6'1", 185 pounds. Does a lot of the things right, man. Very good after the catch, in my opinion, as well. I just like the pickup. Maybe, not the biggest of needs for them with the first pick. I thought, with some cornerbacks on the board, with some players, they would have won with them, but I can't knock the pick. Ronaldo Green, man, A+++ pick right there, man. Ronaldo Green was one of my favorite players in this year's draft class. He's going to be a stud at the next level, man. Super good at mirroring wide receivers' movements, man. So disciplined, so patient in man coverage. He held Malik Neighbors to 2 catches, 20 yards, held him in jail. Just a very good player. He's going to be super good on the other side of Tre'Davious Ward. 6 foot, 186 pounds. Super, super good player, man. Dominic Pooney, more of a project player on the offensive line, but I just feel like with the Niners, he's going to be a very good player. Malik Mustafa brings that old school, safety vibe. He's a tone setter. He's going to be in the middle of the field. He's going to be lurking, and he's going to put your lights out. He's going to hit you. 5'10", 197 pounds. I like Malik Mustafa a lot. I know a lot of Niner fans, weren't the happiest with the selection because, they thought Brown, the rookie from last year, I thought he played fairly well as well. But you can't go wrong with enough safeties in the NFL. Malik Mustafa, I think this guy has a lot of upside. Brings that old school vibe at the safety position, and he's gonna knock some people's lights out. Isaac Guerendo, I like this pick up a lot. High upside. This guy's an athletic freak for the running back position, and him just developing behind a guy like Christian McCaffrey is good for him. He has great frame, 6 foot, 221. Maybe not the most productive dude out of college, but like I said, has all the athletic traits you want from a running back. Jacob Cowing wasn't the biggest fan of the selection right here, but, I do like this pickup for this team, but just wasn't the biggest fan. Jarrett Kingston, again, I think he's solid. I just feel like if you guys wanted to go offensive guard, you guys could have got one earlier. I think Dominic Pooney could play guard, 6'5", but I like to see him at tackle. His hand placement is a bit inconsistent, but, I like to see him, at tackle before he goes to guard. I think he can be developed right. Overall, like I said, I think this was a very solid draft for the Niners. I think Ronaldo Green is going to be a day one starter, and he's going to, be a lockdown quarterback for this team. It sucks to see one of my draft crushes go to a team that I really don't like. Then the next team is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I thought this was a B+ draft. I thought this was very good for them. Graham Barton, I liked a lot. In my opinion, the second best center in this year's draft class. They got him in the first round. He's going to be a day one starter. Chris Boswell, I thought he was very good for Alabama. I like this pickup a lot. 6'3", 251. Needs to definitely be developed a little bit more. Tyke Smith, I like this pickup in the third round. Very good pass coverage safety. Very versatile. I'm interested to see how they use him. Jalen McMillan, shout out Jalen McMillan coming from Memorial High School, man. Always going to root for my dudes from the hometown. He's going to be a stud at the next level. Gives me Tyler Boyd vibes, a bigger Christian Kirk vibes. 6'1", 197, very good hands. A very good route runner. Knows how to use leverage. Knows how to stack DBs. Has a lot of good releases off the lines. Maybe not the most, athletically guy in terms of like long. No, I'm not gonna say athletically. Maybe not the most blazing speed, I should say, at the wide receiver position. But he just knows how to get open. I think he's gonna be a very good option for this team. Bucky Irving. I'm a huge fan of Rashad White, but this pick makes sense, and I like the pickup right here. Rashad White, maybe not the workload running back the Bucs were expecting. So getting a guy like Bucky Irvin, to split the bulk load of the carries makes a lot of sense. I think this team's going to be very balanced. And then I like Devin Culp in the seventh round. Not the biggest dude at the tight end position, but he's very, very athletic. Ran the fastest 40 time over there for our tight end. So 6'3", 231, very athletic. Overall, very good draft for the Bucs. Like I said, I give them a B+. Next is the Tennessee Titans, and I give them an A, man. I thought this was such a good draft class for the Tennessee Titans. J.C. Latham, maybe I had Aluf Fashanu ranked over him, but nonetheless, man, they needed a tackle, and J.C. Latham has a lot of upside, so I'm not mad at this pick right here. 6'6", 342. Super, super good athlete. Has all the power in the world for an offensive tackle. I can't get mad beyond this pick. They needed a tackle. They went out and got a tackle. T'Vondre Sweat, I felt like was a bit of a reach. Very good defensive tackle, don't get me wrong, but I just felt like he went a little bit early. 6'5", 366, very good run stuffer. Honestly, a very good pass rusher as well. Maybe doesn't get all the sacks in the world, but creates a lot of pressure. Still getting better at using his hands to getting to the quarterback as well. So, great pickup. Such a great man. Was such a steal, man. Such a steal for the Tennessee Titans, man. Very, very good pickup. This is a guy who I had inside my top 5 for linebackers in this year's draft class. Super, super instinctive, man. 6'2", 234. Just a ball hawk, man. He's always around the football. I like Cedric Gray a lot, man. This was such a good pick. Jarvis Brownlee Jr., I thought he was a very good cornerback for Louisville. Maybe didn't have the greatest of years this year, but 5'10", 194 pounds. Very good press/zone cornerback. I like his ability to mirror wide receivers' movements. Jaquan Jackson for Tulane. I thought he was fairly solid. Did get drafted later on because he's from Tulane and a little bit undersized at 5'9", 188 pounds. But I like his ability to run routes, to break in and out of his routes and really not lose any speed. He could be very solid for this team. James Williams, very, very high upside pick. This dude is around 6'4", 231 at the safety position. Old school type of safety. He comes downhill, hits you, he makes you feel it. Honestly think, he is honestly athletic as well for a guy his size. I don't think he's as stiff as some people would think. I think he's very fluid. This could very well be a steal, man. It just depends how the defensive scheme in Tennessee uses him. And then Jalen Harrell, I thought this guy was honestly a very good edge for Michigan. So, like I said, I give this team an A. I think this was a very, very good draft for the Tennessee Titans, man. They needed, so a lot of, pieces, and they went out there in this draft class and got them. So, overall, like I said, very, very good draft for the Tennessee Titans. Then the final team is the Washington Commanders, and I give them an A+. They got their franchise quarterback, Jaden Daniels. They got, in my opinion, the best defensive player in the second round in Jer'Zhan Nguyen. I thought, he wasn't just the best defensive tackle. I thought he was overall the best defensive player. I thought he was super productive at the collegiate level. Such a good combination, a quick first step, athleticism, fast hand usage, violent hand usage. He's just very good overall, man. I love his motor as well. He's going to be a stud. Mike Samer still, I think this was such a good pick for them. They needed another guy at the cornerback position. They needed a slot guy in particular. In my opinion, they got one of the best ones in this year's draft class. He's a dog. 5'9", you could say he's undersized, but, man, he's going to get every play. Kenny Moore is such a good, pro comparison for him. I think he's Kenny Moore, just more willing to tackle and just overall better tackler. Ben Sinnott, this was such a good pick. Maybe you could say he got picked a little early, but Ben Sinnott, 6'4", 250, one of my favorite tight ends in this year's draft class. He's going to be a guy, man, that, is like Kyle Juszczyk, but just a better, way better receiving, player or receiver, tight end or fullback, whatever, the Washington Commanders are going to use him as. I think he has Kyle Juszczyk type vibes. He's a very good run blocker. I mean, just overall very good blocker, but then also a very good receiving tight end. Brandon Coleman probably going to be a day one player a day one starter for this team. Luke McCaffrey was a bit of a reach to me, but they needed a wide receiver, in my opinion, to add into that room. And Luke McCaffrey is solid, just to me was a bit of a reach. Jordan Mahagi, linebacker from Tampa, solid. Dominique Hamilton, I think this was a very good pickup. I like Dominique Hamilton a lot from Washington. 6'2", 215. I like his range. I like his height. I like his frame. Very, very good speed. And then Jean-Baptiste, man, what a steal this was in the 7th round, man. I really like Javon Jean-Baptiste a lot. 6'5", 239. Has good length, has good power. Assess the edge well. I thought this was a very good pick for their last pick in the 7th round. Overall, like I said, I give them an A+. I thought this was a home run hitter draft for the Washington Commanders. And let me know what you guys think in the comments, man. Let me know what you think about my grades, man. What grades you would trade. What picks were your favorite from your NFL team. And then in general, what picks were your favorite from the NFL draft. It's been your boy Sports Culture. I'm out.